And welcome everyone to a special update for Space Talks with Z. Today with us, we've got Robert Feierbach, who we'd spoken to a couple months ago. He is an entrepreneur in the space economy. He's worked with all the big names, back in the cowboy days of SpaceX. And even before that, when the space economy was not something people thought about, he was creating markets in Europe and in America. For what in the US became known as Dish Network. Now, we have a very exciting update to some of the discussion we had previously, and that is that Robert has launched, or I can't resist a pun. Robert has unveiled his new and latest business venture, Zero G Launch. And Robert, welcome, and please tell us about this exciting new endeavor of yours.
Thank you, Z, and appreciate the opportunity just to have a few minutes with you this morning. Indeed, it's been a long way coming. We have a lot of hard work with our teams and engineers and vendors and integrators and so forth to get to this point now to actually publicly unveil our company. We are a venture that is an aerospace venture designed to provide high precision microgravity services to the space industry and air launch services to the space industry. So we're a specialized company with a very motivated and very capable team that I'm excited to now be able to bring out in the open.
Awesome. So, tell us about what that means and why high precision microgravity is something that is going to be needed in the space economy moving forward.
Well, one of the issues that is a bit of a bottleneck, and a very expensive bottleneck at that today in the industry, is the fact that you need to test your mechanisms and your systems and your equipment and your whatever it is you're designing to send to space. You need to test that in microgravity environments before you send it out to space. And all those systems in high altitude balloons, in sounding rockets, and even at the ISS, are not only expensive, but very lengthy to put in place. So we're offering a very high-tech platform to allow scientists and allow developers to be able to use our vehicle to be able to do that in a very economical manner. So it's really a high precision, groundbreaking price-wise platform for the industry to be able to develop itself quicker.
That's awesome. And, you didn't mention it, but I will for you, is I love this idea because it's low risk. The one payload I ever put on a balloon got dragged across the Antarctic ice and smashed to smithereens. And I never got the payload back. We were very lucky to recover the hard drives with our data on them. But that payload could have been reused many numbers of times, could have been improved on, etc. So this is a really great idea. Now, you also mentioned launch services. So that is really interesting because are you going to be the primary stage for a bunch of off aircraft launch rockets?
Well, indeed, we will be the launch base or stage zero, if you will. The only caveat there is that we'll be in the air. We'll be 40,000 feet, right? So we're not designing rockets. We're not building the rockets ourselves. We're going to be carrying other customers' rockets. As you know, there are a lot of rocket manufacturers around the world today that have to depend on spaceports and coastal cities, coastal areas to launch their vehicles from vertically. Well, we will launch vehicles horizontally for our customers, and we already have agreements for that today. So it's a very exciting part of the business, not only for rockets that are launching payloads into space, but also for the hypersonic vehicle developers as well, who also need you to carry them, do drop tests, do captive carry tests, and then indeed do launch as well.
So this is really spectacular. You touched on something, the supersonic development. So this is truly a not just dual use. So it's definitely commercial and government, but it's also multi-industry platform. It's not just facing folks going to orbit or testing hardware for space, but it's also for a great test platform for suborbital systems and suborbital aerospace development. Which again, absolutely, with the NASA has funded 2 new quiet boom aircraft. You're already seeing designs coming out from the major aircraft manufacturers saying that, look, we're going to be flying supersonic from San Francisco to Paris, which I think is a great idea personally, by 2040. So that you're coming in at an interesting point in the industry where you're able to exploit the overlap in needs of orbital and suborbital development, and then the other dimension, both commercial and government. How do you see this evolving? Moving forward?
Well, as you said very rightly, there are several developers right now of supersonic type of vehicles, small sort of business-sized jets. There are 4 or 5 ventures out there that have announced their plans. Where the industry is going today is to high-speed point-to-point transportation, right? Now, that could be hypersonic. It could be at Mach 5, Mach 6, Mach 8, potentially. And that's where things really, really change. And that's where the industry as a whole is going in the next 10 to 20 years, is high-speed point-to-point transportation from point A to point B on the other side of the world in a very, very short time, right?
Spectacular. Well, it seems like you've got all bases covered and have come in with a venture that is really filling a lot of the gaps that are there in the aerospace launch and test markets. So, this is super exciting. And, anything else you'd like us to know at this time?
Well, simply that we're all in and we're all excited to get this thing started. We're aiming to have our first microgravity flights by summer this time next year. And then we'll go on forward from there. But we have a good list of clients that are waiting for our services to begin. So we're excited to be here and excited to talk to you as well, Z, to communicate a little bit more about our plans in the future.
Well, thank you so much, Robert, again for joining us, folks. That's Zero G Launch. Go ahead, check them out on LinkedIn. You can Google them. You can Google Robert's name. It'll come up. And they are both open for bookings and open for investment. So there are 2 ways to get involved. I think I want to go maybe see if they can do me one of those flights, like for Apollo 13, where Tom Hanks and Kevin Bacon were doing somersaults, in the steep dive. But maybe I'll have to see how many beers I have to buy Robert for that one.
My pleasure, Z.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for joining us this morning, and be well. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, Z. Bye-bye.